Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a fantastic week. Certainly, mine was very productive. So, I woke up this week. It's been a very grey, dreary, rainy, miserable few days here in the UK. I'm hoping it's cleared up by the time this video actually goes out. But I woke up this morning in the mood to scrub clean. Now, I actually have plans, weird plans, really weird plans. So basically, I am, as you can tell, trying to go through my house one room at a time and get that room revamped and redecorated and make it look all nice. And I want to get a few rooms done each year so that in a couple of years' time, my whole house will be exactly as I want it. Now, doing this, I'm facing a couple of small hurdles, and so I decided to change tack a little bit. Now, I'm still going ahead with the kitchen makeover because I have all the stuff. But for the rest of the house, I don't think I'm going to do room by room. I think I'm going to do zone by zone. Now, I remember talking to my sister about this. It's got to have been, 2 years ago, maybe? And it's this idea of going around the house, the whole house, obviously not all in one go, but the whole house, and just kind of perfecting each small area. So things like going around, filling holes, addressing any small cracks in the plaster, replacing silicone and caulk, and cleaning and repainting and sanding and just making it like perfect, as perfect as it can be. Obviously, it's never going to be Buckingham Palace, but perfecting it as perfect as this, you said building society then, housing association house can be, as perfect as it can be. And I was thinking about it last night and I was kind of drawing up plans and making lists and stuff of what areas to start with, which ones I think need the most attention and things like that. And the areas that I was concentrating on my list last night was the front window area here and by the front door. And something awoke in my head overnight, clearly, because I woke up in the mood this morning to scrub clean. And I mean scrub clean. Absolutely immaculatify, if that's a word, probably not. Make it completely immaculate. And so I woke up this morning with this huge urge, this energy that I've not had in such a long time to get this done. And I figured, well, you know what, Kerry, you've got a cleaning channel. This is definitely cleaning. Let's whack the camera on and try and capture some of this cleaning. Now, in the moment, it felt like I was moving really kind of frantically fast scrubbing, and I feel like it was this really satisfying, soapy, suddy gorgeousness of satisfying video. Looking back on it now, not so much. I'm moving a little bit slower than I thought. It's funny, Raquel says that all the time. You don't realise, like, this is sped up. So this is the pace that I thought I was moving at, like, generally, but clearly it was slower because this is sped up, like, I think 3 times. So I was moving 3 times slower than I am in the video. But I really wanted to kind of start this perfecting process on this area by giving it a really, really good scrub clean so that I can then come in. I mean, look at the ick that's coming off the bottom of that window frame there. It's kind of bad. Now, I clean my windows a lot and I wipe the frames, but I don't usually scrub, like, between the PVC frame and the window itself. There's like a black strip. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's silicone, but it's a black strip of something. And because it's black, it doesn't look dirty. And so when I wipe the frames, I wipe like the white bits and I clean the window itself. But I actually scrubbed the black bits today and the amount of ick that come off of them was quite repulsive. So I want to get this super duper clean. I want to assess the caulk. I want to assess the silicone. I want to get into the tracks of the windows because I'm having a huge issue with spiders and bugs and things coming through the window frames somehow. I don't I don't know that they're coming through the window frames, but I suspect that they are coming through the window frames because they are always at the window and the front door. And this was not really an issue until we had our windows and doors changed a couple of years ago. Now they're keeping a lot more heat in, they're doing a much better job than the old ones did. But somehow, I don't know if it's the, what do they call them? It's not a trickle vent, is it? But like the air vents at the top of the windows, I wonder if they're coming through those. So I'm also going to be going around today and I'm going to be using some peppermint essential oil. And I'm going to be wiping that around the window frames. I'm going to be putting it in the tracks of the windows, around the door, all of that, so that I can prevent as many bugs as possible. I'm not a huge fan of bugs. I don't hate them. Bugs are hugely important for pollination, for keeping control of other pests, all of that. I just don't want them constantly tracking over my windows. It makes me feel like I'm a dirty person when I've got bugs and spiders and cobwebs and things like that. It makes me feel like I'm not keeping on top of the housework as I should be, and that makes me feel really bad. And then I go into a kind of like guilt, depression, or maybe I'm a bad mum, maybe I'm a bad, you know, homemaker, maybe I shouldn't be making videos on homemaking, blah blah blah, and it spirals so hugely. So a simple little thing like that can potentially be corrected as easily as using a little bit of peppermint oil. I am definitely going to try. And I was really just in the mood to really go for it today. And so I did. So I was armed with only my Dishmatic full of fairy liquid in an apple scent if you're interested, my little crevice brush that I'm using here, my toothbrush and my window vac, and then I think I had like 1 or 2 microfiber cloths. And I started off just by going around the inside of the window frames, making sure they were all clean. I'm doing like this side first with this small top window, and then I'm going to move over to the big window afterwards. And then I've opened the window, I'm going around as much of the track of the inside of the window that I can get. I can't reach it all, of course. I probably could if I was outside, but I have like a big hedge underneath the front window, and so I wouldn't be able to reach. So I might get up there with like some kind of extension rod or something. So this is the peppermint oil going on. I will say, be careful. I had a sore throat for 3 days after this. I don't know if it was because of the dust or because of the peppermint oil. It wasn't a hugely strong smell, but it definitely smelled like I'd just brushed my teeth all day long. And it was on my hands and all of that. So yeah, just be careful when you're messing with essential oils. They can upset you if they are, too strong. And the verdict was, well, I've not had any more spiders. There's been no more spiders in, but I have had a few flies. I don't think flies are bothered about the scent of peppermint. It's supposed to stop those as well. I mean, there's a few things that you can use. There's citronella, which I hate the smell of. There's mint and there's lavender and like chives. Now, I don't want my house to smell like onions. Lavender, I don't mind the smell of, but it makes me sleepy. And when I'm downstairs and getting on with my day, I don't want to be feeling sleepy. So it felt like the only real route that I could go down was the route of the peppermint oil. And certainly it doesn't smell bad, but yeah, just be a little bit careful if you're going to be going in as frantically as I was. I literally put it in all the tracks. I put it in all the air vents. I went around the frames themselves with it afterwards. I went over the windowsill. Like, I went for it with this spray, not spray, with these little drops of essential oil. And yeah, I had a sore throat for a few days. But I mean, there's less spiders. But I don't think really it's made a difference. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't think it's made a difference. I think spiders and bugs and things are something that I'm just going to have to get used to the fact of. I'm still going to use the peppermint oil because it's the spiders that bother me the most. And I know that they're only in here after the flies. I'm aware. Logic doesn't always logic in my brain. I know they're in here for the flies, and it's a good thing to have them. I had this little jumping spider over here for a while that I kind of liked. He was quite cute. And one day I opened the window and he must have gone off outside because I haven't seen him since. And since then, the bugs, have been in. And I guess he used to deal with them, or she, whichever it was, used to deal with them. And now, now they don't. So I'm constantly kind of ushering flies out and things like that, which is a little bit annoying. But it definitely felt good in the moment to have a really, really good deep clean. This is what I always envision my spring clean to look like, and my autumn clean, like this level of depth of cleaning. But if I'm honest with myself, this is a 3-bedroom house. There are 4 of us living here. My dad's round pretty much every day. Rachel's boyfriend's round once a week as well. So, like, in reality, sometimes it's a 6-person household that I'm trying to keep up, as well as, a job that's going to be going full time. I'm trying to make all the dinners. I'm trying to make content for YouTube. I'm trying to keep myself sane. It's not a realistic. This is as deep as I would love to go on my spring cleans, but reality just doesn't allow for that. So I'll go, semi-deep clean on the autumn and the spring cleans, and then I can just come round and do these kind of perfecting cleans in between on different zones of the house, because it's not going to overwhelm me. It makes for relatively satisfying viewing, I think. Certainly it felt satisfying to do it. And they still get done. So once this is clean, I can look at replacing the silicone around the windows, because that does need replacing. There's some bits of plaster on the top of the actual window box. I don't know what it's called. The actual frame of the window, but not the plastic frame. The plaster brick frame of the window. There's some plaster that's starting to crack there that I need to kind of chip off and patch and replace. It needs repainting for sure. I want to get some new curtains, full length ones, and hang them from a little bit higher above the window. And I desperately need to get the paint off the windowsill, sand it back because it's got very pitted and dented over the years, and either restain that or repaint that once it's done, depending on how well I like it. So I feel like this super deep clean on the windows has really kind of sped up my desire to do that, and now I don't have to worry about, if I do that, then there's going to be all the muck from the windows and it's not going to look like it's been done because the windows are dirty and things like that. I now don't have to worry about, because I've already done the clean on the windows. So I do go around, there we go, once a week and do all of the insides of the windows. Once a week, routinely on a Friday, I go around and I do the insides of the windows. The outsides I do once a month. Maybe I should make that a bit more frequent. But there's only so many hours in the day, right? And I'm one person, and sometimes I would just like to sit down and read a book, or do some of my embroidery, or watch some TV. I'm currently desperately trying to rewatch Red Dwarf, and I'm not getting very far, because the second I sit down to put it on and do some of my embroidery, I am needing to get up and do dinner, or needing to get up and go to work, or whatever else. Water hanging baskets in the back garden that I've forgotten about for weeks on end. That kind of thing. It's kind of relentless. But I think if I can do these little perfecting of little areas frequently enough, I think I can get the house back under control. But I have got to pace myself. I have this very, very nasty habit of going all or nothing. And this morning is a very good example of that. It feels like my ex-boyfriend a long time ago, his sister had obsessive compulsive disorder around cleaning. Big time. Big time. And she loved it and she hated it. She loved that her house was always clean, but she hated that she never felt that it was clean enough. And she was trying to explain to me what it felt like to be trapped in your head when you have obsessive compulsive disorder around cleaning like that. And there are some days, it's not often, and it's not daily. I definitely do not have OCD, but there are some days where I wake up and I have what she described, happens to her all the time. And it will be like 1, maybe 2 days of this manic urge to clean. It's almost like the nesting urge when you are in the late stages of pregnancy and you just need everything to be clean and you need everything to be painted and you need everything to be ready. And it's kind of like that. And I get it every now and then, maybe once or twice a month. And I cannot stop myself from doing a big scrubby clean like I am this morning. And I can see how debilitating that must be if you have it permanently. That little bit that you just saw flying off was the little cap off of the end of the little air valve on the top of the window, by the way. I lost them all. They're all in that hedge. Every single one of them pinged off as I was doing it, and every single one of them is now in that hedge below the window. So I tried to get a little bit of a close-up of me cleaning the tracks of the window here. I didn't do a very good job, I'm afraid. My tripod is a funny old thing. It's got a much wider base than my old tripod used to have. I gave my old one to my sister when I decided I wasn't going to be making YouTube videos anymore, which obviously I've then changed my mind on. But it had a much narrower base and I was able to get these really cool angles. But with this one, it's got a huge wide base. I'm guessing it's for a much larger camera. And I can't quite get the angles that I used to be able to get. So I've got as best as I can, but it's not perfect. I'm just using some kitchen towel there to kind of get the kind of grit and stuff. You get quite a lot of grit in this window from where I'm kind of cleaning the outside. It kind of gets trapped in here somehow when I do the outside of the windows. A bit more peppermint oil. I'm going to get some shares in peppermint oil, I think. I went through half a bottle just on this window frame. I went way too intense, I know that now. But like I say, that compulsion, that awful strong compulsion that I had, I don't know how people are managing with OCD. I know OCD covers so much more than just cleaning, but for the people that I have known who have had it, wow, it's been around cleaning, and it must be exhausting because I cleaned full pelt for, I think it was 5 hours it took me to get this and the area by the front door done, which is in the video as well. I'll go to that in a minute. 5 hours. It was all the time I had before work. I didn't have time to make a proper dinner. The kids ended up having, I think, fish fingers and chips because I didn't have time to make a proper dinner because I had been so fixated on this and so driven on this weird compulsion, manic, crazy, whatever on earth this was. But yeah, I can only liken it to nesting during pregnancy. This is what I felt like when the babies were pretty due and I wanted to have the nurseries done and I wanted to have everything done ready for their arrival. This is the only thing I can compare it to. I'm so glad that I don't have it all of the time because I would not be able to cope. No two ways about it. The house would be immaculate, yeah, but nobody would be happy. Nobody would be properly fed. You know, it would be absolutely miserable for everybody. See, I was at the level where I took my Dishmatic wet and scrubbed all the paint down on all the walls by the front door because there had been spiders out here and I wanted to make sure there were no spider egg sacs or bugs or spiders or anything out here. And even when I was filming this, I knew this ain't right. This ain't normal. Nobody comes around with a Dishmatic, you know, and scrubs at matte paint. For starters, the paint can't handle it. But for some reason that day it was like, oh well, I'll repaint, you know. I wasn't bothered. I just needed clean. I needed to get out that frustrated cleaning energy. And so I did, and that's where we are now. So I think I have kind of explained what I'm doing. It's a bit of a random video, isn't it? I'm going to leave you guys with some music now, and I will come back to you at the end of this weird, scrubby, morning madness. Okay, so at this point of the morning I am finally starting to run out of steam, and I've gotten that whole bit by the front door scrub cleaned and covered in peppermint oil, and it's just time to do this little internal door in between my little kind of landing spot, hallway, lobby, whatever you want to call it, and the front of the lounge. So again, it's the old Dishmatic. I love this thing. I love cleaning with this thing. It makes cleaning very, very easy. I know it's for dishes, but it's pretty good on everything else as well. And my good old friend, the old window vac there, I was going to do this video as like ASMR, just cleaning sounds, and this thing ruined it. It was sounding so good, you could hear the scrubbing. And although the video was kind of long, you could hear the scrubbing. It was kind of satisfying. But yeah, when you turn on the window vac, it ruins the vibe. It really does. So I decided to do a voiceover instead. But I'm thinking if I get scrubby clean mood again, which I'm kind of hoping doesn't happen too soon because I'm still exhausted from it now, I will do scrubby sounds, and we'll do it as like an ASMR scrubby clean video. But yeah, this door I think I need to replace. Well, I know I need to replace. I think I need to replace it a little bit sooner than I thought though, because it's actually starting to come apart around the handle. So this door was originally I think it was from FreeCycle actually. Someone was getting rid of the doors dividing their lounge and their dining room. So you know where people kind of open up a room and they put the doors in? I think it was one of a set of two of those, and it was never designed to actually have a handle. They were just kind of like I don't know what you call them, like little push doors, you know, sliding doors I guess. And so they were never really designed to have a handle, and so the area around the handle was kind of splintered and split and warped, and now it's really difficult to close the door and it keeps popping open. So it's time to get a new door really, but I don't want to because where my ex-husband fitted it wasn't so much fitting it, he just kind of chiseled out the door frame until the door fit because it was the wrong size for the door. So I'm going to have to get the door reframed, which is going to be hugely expensive because it's got one of those little windows above it. You can't just pop it out. And I'm going to have to get a new door as well and get a chippy to hang that. So I'd have to reframe it and hang a new door at the same time, which is not cheap, but I think it needs doing. I really genuinely thought I could live with it for a couple of years, but I'm thinking it's something that's going to have to be done, you know, late this year, maybe early next year. I don't think I'm going to be able to get much more out of this door. I think it's literally just going to fall apart on me. But it's also a bit of a fussy door to clean. It's all these little windows, all these little kind of railings, they attract the dust, and where it wasn't sanded before it was originally painted by the original owner, it's really rough cut. So that's going to be it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this weird old video and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.